back, everybody, to another episode of Self-Defense Saturday. I'm Chris.
And I'm Tyler.
And we've got another story for you guys. This one's a little bit different. It's going to go over a topic that we have covered before and why you need to go watch that video. Tyler, you want to go ahead and talk about the story?
Yeah, we got one coming out of Pennsylvania. Authorities say that a Pennsylvania man had a brief shootout with a burglar who stole 2 guns and a video game console from the victim's apartment Friday morning. Officers of the City of Coatesville Police Department were called to the property at East Lincoln Highway for reports of a shooting. After a brief struggle, the police say the suspect fired 7 shots and the victim returned fire with his own legally owned firearm. No one was struck in the incident. The AR-15 used in the shooting was stolen from the victim's home along with another gun and a PlayStation 5. Police say authorities did not provide a description of the suspect, and anyone with information is encouraged to contact with police immediately.
So, like I said in the beginning, this is a topic we have covered before. Gun storage.
Lock your shit up. I'm so bad about this, guys. There's guns on the coffee table. There's guns on top of the refrigerator. There's guns everywhere at my house. Like, I don't have anybody young at my house. I'm always tinkering with them in my office. They're everywhere.
Yeah, but in instances like this, where somebody wants to be inside of your home, he can find everything that he wants just laying around the house. And that's the biggest thing that we wanted to get across with our talks about gun storage is, yeah, you got to worry about the kids, you got to worry about people coming over. But the biggest thing is if somebody makes it into your house and you don't recognize that they're there, or you're not home, if you don't have those guns locked up, it's free game.
Yes, it sucks to get shot at.
Yeah.
Getting shot at but with your own gun is way worse.
That's a big irony in my opinion.
Yes, absolutely.
And now, I'm not perfect either. You know, I have a nice safe. It's big enough to fit all of my guns in. I don't keep all of them in there at all times because obviously I want one by me at night and while I'm around the house and stuff like that. But I'm also bad about after the range, after a camping trip, I leave them in my bag for a day or two until I get around to either cleaning them before I put away or just putting everything up with all the gear and everything that I usually bring along with me. So don't look at it as we're perfect and telling you you're not. None of us are perfect. But stories like this are reasons why you got to do your best to try to put those things away as soon as possible or get them in a place where they're not easily accessible. Because if somebody goes rummaging through your house, they're probably not going to try to stick around for the longest time. So if they're not easily accessible, that's almost
half the battle. Yeah,
it's half the battle. It's almost just as good as locking them up. But definitely, you want to try to lock all your firearms up, even if it's with a cable through the wall or through the floor. It's better than nothing.
Absolutely. So it says in the story too that he returned fire. So that means that he came home. He's probably a concealed carry permit holder. I don't know how that works in Pennsylvania, but that was another situation too. Like, he jumped out of his truck and there's a guy standing in his doorway with an AR-15, and he had a gun. This could have went way worse if he hadn't been in a situation to return fire. Even though I don't know if it said exactly in the story. Oh yeah, the suspect fired 7, so he was getting shot at. So this guy was willing to drop a hammer on the person that he was robbing. Luckily, this person had it on him. Yeah. And could fire back. So,
yeah, that's got to be. It doesn't say if he rolled up and immediately saw him, but he was walking at least towards his house and noticed the man in his doorway, probably trying to exit the house. Yep. Those shots could have definitely rung out after the homeowner pulled his firearm out because I'm sure he saw him walking with his AR.
Right.
He may have not had it at a low ready or something like that while he was walking out of the dude's house. He was probably trying to be inconspicuous about it. But the moment that the homeowner saw he had an AR-15, more than likely he pulled out his concealed carry weapon. And when the burglar saw him pulling out his gun, he was like, well, I've got one right here. And that is a terrible situation to find yourself in. Honestly, I don't know how I would react in a situation like that. My first reaction probably would be to pull out my gun because I see somebody carrying a gun at me.
Yeah, absolutely.
I feel like I would like to, if I saw that, I would probably try to take concealment and cover and hold him within the house and trying my best to stay under cool head to be able to contact 911. but not let him leave the property with my firearms and my possessions.
Yeah.
Because as soon as he leaves that property, he's a menace to society. He now has a gun that doesn't belong to him that he can
Absolutely.
just shoot people with and get away with it by tossing it, into some water or something like that. Oof, fingerprints are gone. I don't know how that really works.
Especially if you have a nice collection of rifles, guys. Like if you have nice firearms, like not just like a lot of my stuff is what was on sale at Rural King over the last 10 years, honestly. I don't have a lot of nice stuff, but I know people have smaller collections that are very high value guns, and it sucks having anything stolen from you, but 2 or 3 rifles that are worth 10-12 grand altogether, like that's crazy.
That's a hard hit.
Yeah.
And little side advice, if you do have very expensive singular firearms, like over a couple
Insure that
grand,
shit.
yeah, you can get individual riders on your homeowner's insurance or renter's insurance that will cover that firearm. So if it does get stolen, you get the check for the gun, and you can either go get that one or maybe 2. If 2 other ones, if you don't want that exact one, you're like, screw it.
And even though there's that little comfort zone, that little cushion when something like that happens, like significant stuff like your grandfather's pistol or your grandfather's rifle, stuff like that can't be replaced by a check. And just for some crackhead to get something off of it, it's not worth it. Lock your stuff up for sure.
Yeah, my pawpaw's rifle that was entrusted to me after he passed away, I only ever take it out to go to the range. It's going to become my designated hunting rifle, but that is definitely something I'm never going to play around with. Yeah. The moment it comes home, it's going right back in the safe within the day's end before I ever leave that house again, because it's kind of just a rifle you can go buy. It's not a super expensive rifle.
But it was Pawpaw's rifle.
But it was my grandfather's rifle. He's had it brand new since 1964, and it's in amazing condition. That's something that I would be more devastated about than if I owned a $5,000 rifle.
Yeah,
I'd be more devastated about that. So that's definitely something to think about.
So I really kind of wonder, legally how this is classified. Like if this guy didn't show up armed, but left armed, is that still armed robbery?
Absolutely. Yeah, it is. If you steal a firearm or in possession of a firearm while trespassing or during a robbery, it is considered armed robbery. So that obviously ups the classification of what this man was doing, and then obviously he went even further and shot at the homeowner. So regardless of how what the actual terms are going to be of what he's going to be charged with, if they find this guy, and hope to God that they find this guy, because you never know what he's going to do with it, he's going away for a long time.
Absolutely, and it's stuff like this that's kind of scary because it says in the article, they still have not found this guy. So there's a guy running around with 2 guns and a PlayStation 5. So especially somebody that's willing to shoot to get out of a bad situation. It's one thing to drop everything and run and cut your losses in a way, but to sit there and try to use deadly force with something that you've stolen is kind of scary, because no matter what, the day that this guy gets arrested, he's going to be put in that same situation.
Yep.
Where he's got guns on him, and he's probably got those guns on him. If he's willing to shoot this guy, he'll be willing to shoot a blue. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and that's also a very unfortunate position for the police
or
department.
Anybody else that gets in the way.
Yeah.
This guy's not being a boastful marksman or anything, but 7 shots, if we throw 7 shots, something's getting hit. So this guy's willing to spray and pray, and that's when people really get hurt.
Even with a long walkway to the house, not a lot of places, not a ton of houses have a super long walkway, but 15 yards, 7 shots, something's connecting. So obviously he's not, I would say,
competent.
Extremely competent when it comes to firearms, which also makes it more dangerous because he doesn't understand the safeties and stuff like that, more than likely. But he's also, like you said, very willing to pull that trigger on somebody who he thinks is in his way or is threatening him. If he feels unsafe, he's going to pull that trigger on anybody, which is probably why he had to steal a firearm, because he probably couldn't get it in the first place. Obviously, we don't know all those kind of details, but we definitely hope that this man gets found and, gets taken to justice.
Absolutely. So we're in Tampa, we're in Florida here. No matter where you're at in the United States, consult your laws, consult your local officials, and figure out what it would be to get your concealed carry license. And sometimes in different states, like Here it wasn't that bad. We had to have a little class. Georgia is an I shall state. You just walk in and ask for it. Find out where your local laws are and go get a CPW or whatever they call it in your state.
Yeah. So I do want to make a point about the way that this man handled the situation. I kind of feel like it's an obvious one, but I do try to make a point on how they defended themselves correctly. So this one's cut and dry. The man walked into his house where the burglar had a firearm and pointed and shot at him. If he had a firearm, regardless, that is within the law, within your own home. You know, a trespasser has a firearm within your own home. This man was well within the law to use his firearm and use deadly force, especially as soon as that barrel came down or came to him from whatever position that it was already at. You know, he did what he was supposed to. Very luckily, he was not struck by any bullets. Unfortunately, he was unable to stop the person who was taking his belongings and shooting at him. But I just wanted to make that point that, like I always try to do, is he used his right to self-defense and his Second Amendment and hopefully his concealed weapons permit exactly how it's supposed to be used to the book.
Absolutely.
And if this ever comes to trial, they find this guy or whatever, and this guy tries to say some crazy stuff like, oh, he shot at me first, or he pointed a gun at me first. Well, the guy has no leg to stand on. You were in the man's home with his gun, and you shot back at him. Mm-hmm. Cut and dry.
We wish this individual the best of luck. We wish all the Blues in Pennsylvania the best of luck in their investigation. Maybe we will come back and touch back on this and just kind of see how it plays out, because this is kind of an interesting story. You know, having your stuff stolen, something like that, especially like that's more than a monetary value. You know, that's, for us, a $1,500 rifle walking out the door is one thing, but it's a rifle. You know, the monetary value on something can be replaced, but something that can walk out of the door and hurt somebody is a different era of, you know, how you feel when that gets stolen. There's going to be people who feel responsible. I would absolutely feel responsible if I got a gun stolen from me because of my negligence, and then somebody got hurt with that thing. Oh my gosh. I can never forgive myself, you know.
I'm not sure about the state of Pennsylvania, but I do know that there are states that this man could be held accountable for.
Yeah, absolutely.
If he didn't have his firearms properly locked and saved away, you know, you can be held reliable for that in your state. You have to obviously check your laws and stuff like that, but if you have that law, you have to have that firearm locked up at all times when not in use or not in, you know, direct reach of yourself for personal defense. And if that firearm gets stolen and used in a crime, you can be held liable for it. And
absolutely.
And that sucks in a way, because
you're innocent.
You really are innocent. You do share some kind of responsibility, but I feel like it's more moral than anything.
Absolutely.
I don't think that should be held against somebody just because somebody broke into your own home. The locking on the doors and the windows should be good enough, but obviously there are people in this world who would disregard that.
Guys, thanks again for showing up to another episode of Self-Defense Saturdays. We had fun with this one. The website that we're using is going to be down in the description, just like everything else. And not only that, we also have a link tree down in the description also that'll send you to all of our other platforms, all of our other social media. We got reels on Instagram, stories on Facebook. We try to keep a presence on there as much as we can. Don't forget to keep in tune for Wes and Jose for Ready, Aim, Live. We try to bust those out every Friday. And then my beautiful face, along with Chris's, will be here on Saturdays about 10 o'clock in the morning.
So I want to say that you guys definitely should go check out this website, Firearms Owners Against Crime. There are a ton of stories on it. I was just checking it today, and there was 3 stories from the exact same day. We cannot really feasibly cover all of these stories. So if you enjoy hearing these stories from us, you'll definitely like to go through this website and read the stories that we can't get to. And also you can check these stories and follow up on them and see how they kind of unravel if we can't get around to unraveling them for you. So I definitely think it's a good thing to go ahead and click on and just check it out. We don't get anything from it, but I think it'll help. It'll just kind of shed the light on these smaller stories and do exactly what we're trying to do here.
Yep. And always remember, guys,
who's got your 6?